All right, so this is part 2 of the customer journey. Last time we talked about the first 4 steps of the customer journey. Now, in those first 4 steps, we talked about awareness, right? And awareness is what?
You lose 100% of the business for people who don't know you exist.
Absolutely. It's about the understanding that you lose 100% of the business from people that don't know you exist, right? A person has to be aware of you before they can possibly buy from you. The second step is engagement. And engagement means what?
People who know you but don't know you, like they trust you.
Okay, so they know who you are, but there's not that know you like you trust you factor yet. So once a person becomes aware of you, then they have to actually become engaged with you in some way before they can possibly buy from you. Step 3 was subscription, which means
Collecting contact and content info for your customer to be able to continue to communicate with them.
absolutely. So on a business side of things, it's you collecting their contact information so you can continue the conversation. From a customer side of things, subscription means them actually getting a bit of buy-in to who you are and what you've got going on, right? All right, and step 4 that we talked about was conversion. And conversion means?
This is where your potential customer begins to trust you, and they'll either do it with time or money.
Absolutely. So it's a higher level of buy-in that's done with either time or money. So it could be a small sale, it could be a demo walkthrough, it could be any number of things where a person is going to spend more time or some money in order to be able to get more engaged on a deeper level with who you are. Step 5 is excitement. Step 5 is excitement. So now a person has completed some sort of a transaction with you, right? It's either been a time transaction, they've sat in on a webinar, they went through a demo walkthrough, they went through a presentation of something, or they've made a small purchase of some sort, $8, $20, whatever it may be. They've done something, right? So the next step is that excitement step. So if a person doesn't really get value from that initial transaction, then they're not going to purchase more expensive things from you, right? So the ultimate goal, if you're a cleaning service, for example, the ultimate goal is to get them on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever cleaning program. Right? So an initial conversion could be a one-time cleaning. An initial conversion could be just simply having you come out to their location and doing a walkthrough and saying, okay, look at this, look at this, look at this, but also then providing that value of things that they weren't thinking about, right? Twyla and I were on a conversation, we were on a phone call with someone the other day, and it's a potential client. Right? And so it's a landscaping company that is doing hardscaping, landscaping. They're landscape architects, right? So it's not just mowing yards, okay? And so, we're having the conversation. And by the way, so they already have awareness. They've had engagement and having conversations with Twyla up to this particular point. Twyla has actually met with them and kind of bought into they've kind of bought into the idea of who we are, right? So the next step in that was to really have a value conversation. It wasn't just an initial purchase, right? It was to have a value conversation. And so when Twyla got there to the location, she actually called me and asked if I could have a conversation with them real quick. And so, having the conversation with them, we went through a number of different things, right? And at the end of that particular conversation, so my job during that conversation, right, was to provide as much value as I could in the amount of time that we had allotted, right? And so my job was to provide massive value, right? Now, at the end of that conversation, Twyla actually called me back later and talked about how excited they were, right? They don't want to look at anybody else. They don't want to talk to anybody else. They realistically want to focus on, they want us to handle their stuff, right? That's what we're talking about with excitement. It's that step, right? It's making sure that people have a good enough experience when they are interacting with you in whatever manner it is, that they get excited enough that they can take another step.
Okay, David, I was going to ask you about that one because that's where I thought we were with them. Exactly, it was going through my mind on all these. But then it says small purchase or something, and I didn't get the deal yet. So it doesn't matter. I mean, we're still at the excitement stage.
But just because you didn't close the deal, that's not this stage. Again, I mean, you know, if you're talking about a deal that's going to be $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it may be, right? In that particular scenario, that's not a conversion. Okay. That's a different step when we haven't even got there yet. Okay.
When I wrote excitement, I wrote small purchase or the value to buy more. Or
it's after the small purchase, right? And again, so remember that conversion is spending time or money. It's not just money. It doesn't necessarily... A person can convert without ever spending a dime.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay? Conversion, so again, they have to be aware that you exist. They have to engage with your brand in some way. You have to get a small buy-in, right? So as some sort of small buy-in in this, then you have to convert them to a much larger buy-in, right? And by buy-in, I'm not talking about just dollar buy-in. I'm talking about mentality buy-in, right? That's where the conversion is. So you have to provide massive value in some way so that a person, you can take them to that next level, which is that excitement level, right? And so that just means that whatever that person purchased or gave up their time for has to be outstanding. It needs to be an outstanding interaction. It's one of the reasons why I have always said my number one job, if I get on the phone with someone, my number one job is to provide as much value as I possibly can in the time that is allotted, right? I want to, even if they're not buying anything at that particular point, because it may not be appropriate yet,
Right, I got you.
right? Yesterday, I spent an hour in conversation with a guy who may not buy anything.
Right.
But my job was to provide massive value enough in that conversation. Even if he doesn't buy anything, he knows what things he needs to do. Enough so that at the end of that conversation, he's going to get excited.
Got you.
Now, this is a person, that guy that I had that conversation with at the very end of the conversation booked an appointment for 2 weeks from now, right? And he's going to drive over 2 hours. He's going to drive over 2 hours one way just to be able to come and sit and have a face-to-face conversation with me, right? That's excitement, okay? So when you think about it, in marketing, for example, it happens all the time, right? One of the things that I bought a little while back is for the house is I bought a Keurig, right? You know what the Keurig is, the coffee maker, right? And you know, and I'm a little excited about the Keurig and this, that, and the other. But then I open up the box, right? And I open up the box, and you've got a quick start guide in the box, which is kind of cool. A lot of products don't do that little quick start guide, right? They just give you this big massive manual that nobody really wants to read. Right? I wanted to know in a matter of seconds because I'm excited about opening the box, right? It's like a present to myself. So I'm excited about opening it. Then there's a quick start guide that shows me within a couple of steps how I can get it making coffee. But in addition to that, my Keurig actually had pods in it, right? They gave me free samples in the box. So not only did I have the Keurig now, but I could actually use it within a minute of me pulling it out of the box. You know? That's exciting. You know? Little stuff like that. That's an excitement. Another example, a person that goes through, by Spotify. Jasmine actually, she got a subscription to Spotify not long ago. Spotify is it's a streaming music app, right? It's like $4.99 a month or something like that. But a person downloads the app, the first thing that Spotify does is they give you a walkthrough of how to get the most out of it, right? Before you ever get to your music, you get this little walkthrough, right? And that helps increase the level of excitement, right? And by the way, you get that walkthrough before you ever subscribe to the service, right? So the conversion in that aspect is downloading the app. The excitement level increases when you go through the little walkthrough and it tells you what all kinds of things that you can do and it shows you how to use it, right? That's before a person subscribes and pays for that particular service, right? Another example, you get a young man that's hired a life coach. I say young man. Matter of fact, we've got one of my employees that's hired a life coach, right? And so she wants to increase her life in this and the other. And one of the things that I was thinking about with it is I thought, when she was telling me about the interactions, this, that, and the other, now she's not overly excited, right? But I thought to myself, what would it look like if this life coach, when they got a new client, actually had some sort of indoctrination email campaign, right? That sent out a series of maybe 3 blog posts or 3 emails or 3 whatever that's intended to help them understand how can they get the most out of this new relationship, right? I mean, that's huge. And in fact, ideally, a person would set that email series to go out before the person even got their first coaching session, right? Get them excited about the first session. A person that comes into the first section excited is generally going to leave it even more excited, right? And so, you get that first session, the job of a life coach, for example, is to sell you on doing more sessions, right? So, conversion to excitement. So the excitement stage is all about ensuring that you're giving the customer the most opportunity to get value from whatever interaction they've had with you, right? So we want to make sure that we can do that. Now, some examples in marketing, and especially in the digital world, that we can use to create excitement is email marketing, right? Content marketing, copywriting, okay? It's no longer about ads and those kind of things. They've already gotten the ads. That's got them aware. They've already done things that have gotten them engaged. But now we can increase levels of excitement through email and through good copy and content and so on and so forth, which should lead to step 6, which is ascension. And by the way, we're 6 steps in. It's entirely possible that you've gotten to step 6 and you've not made a profit on anything yet. Okay? One of the most difficult things for a lot of people to understand is that it's a relationship. Relationships take a minute to pay off, right? Marketing is a relationship, right? It takes a minute to pay off. It's one of the reasons why it is that I tell in our marketing company, I tell most of our clients, look, it's got to be 4 to 6 months. Right? We have to do things 4 to 6 months before you're really going to start seeing a result. Why? It's because, one, we live in a microwave society, so people expect instantaneous results even though it's not realistic, right? If you want to create lasting change in your target market, right, in your business and in your target market, it's going to take a minute to do so, right? And so I tell most people, give it 4 to 6 months. If we're not seeing results in 4 to 6 months, then we'll begin to pivot, all right? But until then, don't worry about it. And it's kind of the same thing in this customer journey, is because this stuff can take a minute, right? And it's not necessarily immediately profitable. But what we're not doing is we're not going for just the quick wins. Quick wins are nice, right? We're going for the long-term value building increases. Right? Long-term value building increases. I mean, the landscape architect, for example, a quick win would be finding somebody who's looking for that right now and, oh yeah, see, we got you somebody, right? But it's the problem. Matter of fact, one of the challenges that the guy that I spoke to yesterday had is he had spent over $4,000 on marketing for through a couple of different companies, right? And he spent this $4,000 on marketing through these couple of different companies, and he actually got a bunch of quotes on things, but he was only able to land 2 deals. Now, the easiest thing to look at and say is, well, it's a problem with his presentation, his quoting, or his closing ratio, right? But the reality of it is when he told me the names of the companies that had been doing this stuff, one of the things that I know is these companies actually pay foreign people to fill out forms and act as leads, but they're not really leads. Right? So it looks like you're getting a lot of leads. Yeah. It looks like you're getting a lot of leads, but for whatever reason, you just can't get a hold of these people. Yeah.
Like when people would have, customers on the TV station, they have them call in to ask for a quote or something, they didn't, it was all bogus just because, and I said, I'm not doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so in this model, we're doing things quite differently. Ascension, like I said, is the idea that you may have yet to turn a profit, but what you're doing is you're creating a process to ensure long-term development of customers, right? It's not just a one-off type deal. You're not placing an ad for a sale in the newspaper, right? This is about generating consistent leads for a longer period of time. Yes?
Can you say that again? It's the idea that you're creating a process.
You're creating a process that will generate long-term customers. Okay? One of the things that we know and we understand, and most everybody says it, right? But you have to understand that this is part of the process, right? It always costs more to acquire a new customer than it does to sell more to an existing customer. Okay, customer acquisition tends to be the more expensive part of the process. So that's something that we have to understand. Even though we tend to pay lip service to that, we have to understand that in business in general is that this is customer acquisition, right? Now we'll get to customer retention, but we're still on customer acquisition. So this ascension stage here is where a person is actually ready to buy and they're ready to buy more often. Okay?
When you say ready to buy, what?
Ready to buy and ready to buy more often. So again, it's based on that, based on what your core offer is, your core service or product or whatever it is that you're doing, right? And so again, going back to our previous example of a janitorial service or a cleaning service, the difference is you could get a conversion in a presentation. You could also get a conversion by a person being a one-time, I need a one-time cleaning, right? But the question is how do you get them so excited about that they move from looking at doing something like that one time to actually doing it on a regular basis, right? That's your stages. Because your job as a cleaning service is not just to go in and clean somebody's house or apartment or whatever one time, business or whatever it may be. The job is to get them as a recurring, ongoing client, so they're buying more and more often, right? And remember, in a cleaning service, if you're coming twice a month, right, they have to continue to buy. Every time you come, in their mind, they're buying that service over again, right? So you have to get them excited and keep them excited. I know something I was looking at the other day is, I guess it's a month ago, give or take, a month, 6 weeks ago. We actually did some construction work in the office. And so I decided, because we had some old boxes that were in the walls that used to have like jacks and those kind of things in them, but we had cut all that out when we redid the wiring, and so we didn't replace all of the sheetrock. And so originally we had put the little blanks, the wall plate blanks on them, and and I got to looking at it and I thought to myself, I hate seeing these wall plate blanks everywhere, right? So I thought, it's 2 inches by 3 inches roughly. So I said, let's cut some pieces of sheetrock 2 by 3. We'll mud it, paint it, go on with it, right? And so we did that. And I was actually in one of the offices yesterday, and there's still a bunch of sheetrock dust in the floor. Right? 6 weeks later, and we have people that come and clean the office every 2 weeks. I'm like, they haven't bothered to vacuum this particular room in how long? So then my next thought process was, okay, how many other spots are they missing? What else is going on? And it comes out about this far from the wall, right? And it's a spot about this long. It's just sheetrock dust just laying in the floor on the carpet. It just needs to be vacuumed up, right? The question is if that's being missed, and that's been missed through at least three visits, what else is being missed, right? So see what I'm talking about ongoing excitement?
Yeah.
So hey, you got to get them excited about stuff, but then in Ascension, part of it is keeping them excited about things, right? And so, it's common to think of an Ascension kind of as a ladder. So you want a person to keep buying, but you also want them to keep buying more, right? My truck, for example, when I bought my truck, the first thing that the dealership wanted to do was sell the extended warranty, right? But now that you got the extended warranty, it's, do you need satellite radio? Do you need GPS services? Do you need, and so you're excited about getting the new vehicle, right? But now it's time to add on all the add-ons. So what else can you get out of that particular customer? In other words, how frequently will they open their wallet and how wide will they open their wallet, right? And that's ultimate key in business, right? So again, back to a cleaning service, if you're cleaning someone's home and you find out that they're a business owner or a business manager or whatever, then the question becomes can I ascend them into being able to get the business as well? Now that I've got the home, what's my next step? Right? And so in digital marketing, we create ascension through processes like email marketing, copywriting, digital advertising, and content marketing. Digital advertising, a lot of times we don't think about, that's ads on Facebook and those kinds of things. Okay? We don't think about that as an ascension method, but the reality of it is these days with Google, with social media, with those kind of things, I can literally upload a list of all my customers to Facebook and specifically target them for ascension-based ads, right? So I could upload a list of every customer that doesn't have a particular service and then just advertise to them specifically for that service, right? Through that. Copywriting, again, writing good copy on things, digital, the email marketing, obviously attempting to ascend them through email, content marketing. Content marketing is more along the lines of the web pages and the blog articles and the various things that we do that are intended to get them more excited and ascend them to higher levels. Step number 7 is advocacy. Advocacy. So this step is really designed to create marketing that helps encourage the customers that you have that are the most loyal to begin to advocate for your business. Okay? Advocacy is about word of mouth. It's the first step in word of mouth marketing, right? So interestingly enough, one of the big things that we hear all the time is people say, when I ask people, how do you get most of your business? They'll say, well, word of mouth. Okay, well, how much of that are you controlling? Right? Well, you can't control that. No, I beg to differ. You can control that. In fact, it's something that's been said for years in sales. You don't get referrals if you don't ask for them.
That's right.
Right? So if you don't get referrals, if you don't ask for them, it's been said for years in that, then it also implies the fact that there is some control that can be obtained over that particular process, over that particular word of mouth. And that's really what we want. Ultimately, what we want is people that speak positively about our brand, right? And so this is not, the advocacy is not something where a person is actively going out and seeking to generate new clients for us. This is the person that's just talking good about us when it comes up in conversation, right? So it's one of those kind of things, and we get every now and then, right? So I actually had someone who is a dentist call that I spoke to not long ago. And we have a client that's a dentist as well that's just, he's super stoked. I mean, he's said over and over again he wouldn't even have a business if it wasn't for us and this, that, and the other. And so I actually had the dentist that I was speaking to call this guy, right? and our client told him to say, oh yeah, they're great. They've helped me out. They've helped me grow my business. I probably wouldn't even have a business were it not for them. And this, and that's an advocate, right? But there's an active part in that particular process, right? So I had to be the catalyst to get that advocacy going, right?
I got you, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is something that, even though it's often thought that it's outside of our control, it is directly within our control.
Okay.
So getting testimonials, getting testimonials from people, getting online reviews from people, getting people that would actively agree to speak to someone in the event that you need a referral, or you need a referral source, those kinds of things. I mean, this is a very important part of business, right?
Yes.
And so some of the methods that we can use to generate advocacy, social media marketing, email marketing, and search marketing, right? Social media, email, and search marketing we can use to generate advocacy. The final step in the process, step 8, is promotion. Promotion is the next step past advocacy. So it's different from advocates. Advocates will passively spread the word. Promotion step, they're now actively spreading the word. So this is the person who has taken on the responsibility, whether you have requested it or not, of growing your business. All right? And so it has to be very intentional. When we talk about promotion, what we're not talking about is, I'm not talking about affiliates and affiliate marketing and those kind of things where somebody is actually paid to spread the word. I'm talking about those people that are so excited about what it is that you do that they want to tell other people about it, right? And we have those. Matter of fact, we have clients that get so excited about the things that we do that they're telling other people. Matter of fact, I had a lady the other day. She works for an organization that has some national arms and this, that, and the other. And she said, David, can I tell people nationally about you guys?
Oh, yeah.
My answer was, I'd be offended if you didn't. Okay? So, yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, in that particular scenario, is that we've been enough help, right? So we've gotten that excitement and ascension going to the stage where now she talks favorably about us, but now she's actively wanting to promote us to other people that she knows because she knows what good it does.
And I mean, we're not even that far with Pine Valley, but when Pine Valley gave me the excavator yesterday, I called to tell me to go see him.
Right.
That they were.
Yeah, so that's a jump from excitement to promotion, even though, so that they often do that because they're excited. Now the question is once you get through the balance of these steps, how many more can they do?
Yeah, okay.
Right? So people tend to get excited about that. It is possible to use promotion directly and indirectly. So a lot of the promotion that we want is unpaid promotion, right?
Yeah.
Although, like I said, I'm not really talking about affiliates. Affiliates and those kind of things would be included in this. So, I mean, if you got somebody that you told, look, every time you help me out, I'll give you a cut. I'll give you 10%, I'll give you whatever on that kind of stuff. Those would be active promoters. But you just got to be real careful about that kind of stuff when you're paying someone to promote your products or services, because it oftentimes becomes that the quality of the leads and potential customers that you get can go down because the person just sees the dollar signs of what they get out of it. I prefer unpaid active promoters because those people are super excited and they tend to look for the quality. In other words, I want to have the conversation with my promoters about what we're looking for and have them seek for that particular kind of person, and they're more likely to do so because they don't have that financial incentive, right? In order to do that. So, promoters are their big thing is they help you generate more customers at a lower cost, right? So remember, I said the customer acquisition is one of the most expensive things, right? But if you have active promoters, then they can significantly reduce the cost of customer acquisition, right? And so even though you may have, let's say it costs you $100 to get a new client through this particular process, right? If I have an active promoter at the end of that particular process, it brings me 5 new people that I'm not having to go through necessarily the same exact process with. Now I've got 6 people for that $100 as opposed to 1, right?
Very good point.
So it's why it's necessary for it to be an essential and an intentional part of a marketing strategy, right? It's to generate advocates. We want to generate the promotion. We want to go through these particular steps because that's what long-term decreases our cost to acquire customers, right? It's something that we're working on. Matter of fact, one of our clients that I spoke to on the phone yesterday, he said he's getting more and more and more calls of people that are just saying that they saw this stuff, right? And so it's not, his cost per acquisition of customer is actually going down significantly because of the active promotion that's going on. And so, he was beside himself. He was so excited about this kind of stuff because he's like, I'm not having to do so much for it. Right? And that's the real key. And so as far as specific marketing methods to intentionally generate promotion, email marketing, copywriting are the 2 biggest. Okay? Email marketing, copywriting are the 2 biggest. All right. So that gets us through the 8 stages. Remember I said that there's multiple stages in human relationships, but really in business relationships, there's these 8 stages, right? So the next thing that we'll be doing will be going through actually beginning to implement some of this kind of stuff, putting it together and seeing what it really looks like.